Okay, KASB renewals.
Yep, I need board approval for next year's KASB membership for the season pass legal services in the amount of $10,186.47.
I so move.
I'll second.
Do I need that dollar amount for the motion here?
These are the bills that we're paying this time.
Okay,
It was approved in the bills.
okay, sounds good. Motion by David, seconded by Gina, that USD 298 Board of Education approve the KASB continued annual membership, including the season pass and utilizing the legal services for the 2023-2024 school year. Any other discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. Next, teacher appreciation discussion. So, I've had a lot of thoughts, but I haven't had a lot of good ideas. But some discussion I had with Scott was we didn't use all of our snow days, and so a possibility could be that we would just give them a day off as teacher appreciation if we could find a day that didn't conflict with activities or whatever else, and just.
I think that would make them happier than anything. I'm sure.
That would probably need to be a Monday, wouldn't it, not a Friday?
But you said nothing coming up, I'm like,
Well, I guess that's what I'm wondering, is it possible? I wanted to look at the calendar before I came, and I didn't.
And just for the overall board information, we've counted, our minutes are fine because, you know, the state minimum requirement for attendance is 1,116 hours. And we build in many more than that because that's our job, to not be minimalists. So I think we have 1,186 hours built into the calendar. What gets us in a pickle is half-day preschools, because by law you have to have 456 hours of preschool. So Norma did count those last week, and then I confirmed with her today that we will meet the requirement of 456 hours of preschool seat time. Now next year, moving to all-day preschool, it'll be the same as the calendar. There'll be 1,186 hours or whatever it is on next year's calendar. It'll never be an issue again. But I wanted to make sure that if it was something that you supported, to say, hey, have a 3-day weekend, we will meet our legal requirements for attendance.
May 1st would be a great day.
May 1st. I was kind of curious if that
There's
was.
a baseball game, but we probably need, my computer's restarting. So, I need to look at state assessments, but we could probably, they usually don't try to test on Mondays, so if there's a test on a Tuesday, they should be done by May. That would be the
Push
only.
it out far enough there, parents and everyone could be notified, and it could be
Yeah.
changed.
I don't know that I'd go much later, because May 8th, the seniors' last day is that Tuesday, and that, there's usually some stragglers that don't have their stuff done, so I hate to do that.
And I did talk to my wife, and she would make cupcakes if we felt like 3 of us going to one building, or a couple people going to one building and a couple going to the other on a Friday afternoon or something, and just giving out cupcakes and ice cream to anyone that was staff or teachers and saying thank you.
I think teacher appreciation is the first week of May, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so, that would
It
fall on
sounds
that
like
first
if we
week.
go the 1st of May, it's probably gonna be.
I think it's the first week of May. Yeah, well, you can pick whatever day you want.
They could possibly have.
It's National School Principal Day, Nikki.
I get my own day.
Yeah, May
It's
1st,
gonna
National
be in
School
lieu of
Principal
our
Day.
last day of school meal that doesn't.
And state testing will be done by then. They
Yeah.
have to finish that, like,
That's
Uh,
great. I think they appreciate that more than
I
I
think you can go into May, we just try to finish by then.
I could stay in touch with some people and see. The 5th was the track meet, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, I suppose something that week would be good if we wanted to do that ice cream. I think we could order in the call hall ice cream or the birthday ice cream, and then we just have that plus cupcake, and we just have to push a cart. It would be too tough. It would cost the board a little bit to do the ice cream, but the cupcakes I would donate.
Oh, bless her.
Some of them.
Lost their ass.
I can donate the, if they do that, I can donate the Friday. Well, the 5th is a track meet. I guess I would wonder whether sometime that week would be good unless we went through,
You could do Wednesday during their PD and I could just put them all in the same room if you plan ahead, and then you don't have to go car to
Early
car.
release, you wouldn't have to bother with them not being able to eat, because kids are in their classroom and everything else. At 2:30 on a Wednesday,
okay.
everyone would be available for.
May 3rd. Just,
May 3rd.
yeah, tell me exactly what day, so I make sure I put it on the PD schedule.
Well, let's just make it May 3rd and we'll make it work. How did John say that? It's better to know what I gotta do and then I can do it, as to not have that target.
That's how it works.
Flexibility is the key, indecisiveness is the key to flexibility.
That's why I got some fence that just still hasn't gotten built, because I'm gonna do it someday. Just have to put a date on it.
Okay, so May 3rd at 2:30, this is Wednesday, and May 1st will be the day they get off.
Is that a show up at 2:30 and we would catch them in a room?
Yeah, so do you wanna go to both buildings, or you want them to all go to one building?
I would say we can go to both buildings if that's how you usually set it up. We've got enough board members that we
Yeah.
can get enough people.
So, yeah, they'll all be in one
And if
room.
we don't have to go up and down the hall
That makes sense.
blowing air horns and putting it out.
They would appreciate that, maybe. You might entertain them. Yeah, no, that'll work.
Okay,
I'll get them all to one building, to LES, and then all to the high school.
okay. And we will keep in touch on email and I can figure out volunteers for each building and then we can get the stuff
Okay.
where it needs to go and that kind of works. Oh, yes, that would be a good day. You'll have help.
Is your calendar,
Uh-huh,
is May 1 okay?
uh-huh. There's a baseball game, but that's all there's nothing else.
Pass you? Does it pass you? Are you okay with it?
I'm working with pleasure of the board.
Okay,
They might be the only day I have nothing written on the calendar for.
What do we get, so
I know, yes.
okay,
this
so,
is only certified and classified staff on administrators.
She told me it was Principal's Day that day. Just saying. Everyone understand.
okay, so, I'm gonna have to scratch this motion. And we are going to add it. Take notes. Okay. Okay. So I need a motion. I will read this twice.
Are you gonna read it or you gonna be bad? You got, if you
I'll
got.
read it if you just say you'll make it. Does that make sense? Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Guess what? You don't know what you moved or seconded.
No, I was like, I don't understand that, okay, sure.
To pay all the board members for all their time.
Double what they get now.
Double what we get now. Motion by Jason, seconded by Gina, that USD 298 Board of Education create May 1st to be a no-school day in appreciation of our teachers and staff.
For 2023.
For 2023. Okay, you have a paid staff day, that's the plan, right? Okay. Have no school for students and a paid staff day on May 1st, 2023. Any other discussion? Sorry, I'll get it all the wheels chugged away here. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
So does that mean they're not coming to school? Teachers aren't coming either?
Yes.
Yes, that's the whole point, they get to
Just
be off.
What?
Even Nikki, she doesn't.
Just as
Don't put that in a text message, just put whatever they come up with on text message, not what I just read. No one will understand what they're doing. Okay. And then we will be in touch about the other stuff we're doing. Since we have two staff in here, it won't be a complete surprise, but we'll try.
Well, they also can watch this later.
No, that's
They're all
true.
going to know.
Okay.
Surprise!
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Put it to bed. Admin reports.
Okay, Okay, so the Post Rock Community Foundation awarded us with a vinyl printer. Really excited about it. So if you're at the high school, I'll show you. It's massive. It's about the size of that table. It's gigantic, and it prints out like you can print a picture on the vinyl, so you make banners, and then you can also do like if you go to Mighty Mart where you can see on the window, you can see out but you can't see in. So it prints those things. So the kids they put it together. Well, Rich put it together over spring break, but they've been working on it, figuring out all the kinks, and they've been putting it at the high school. There's the windows and the doors, so they've made a design. They've been going around and putting those on so teachers can see out, but you can't see in the room. So it's kind of a security thing. Working on like other things, but I'm very excited about it. I've written I don't know how many 4 grants for this printer, and we finally got it, so I'm super stoked. But it's really big. It'll really add to the digital media classes, and the kids are really excited about working on all the kinks on it, and so I'm pretty excited about that.
Cool.
The kids participated in NPL powerlifting. Our girls won the lead for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row, so that's pretty exciting. Boys got 3rd. Right after, this seems like forever ago because it's spring break, but Ameritown, our 4th and 5th graders went to Ameritown. Lots of people helped with that. Another great successful year of that. We already have it booked next fall. Just want to thank all the volunteers and parents and that went up and helped with that. The kids always love it. It's very exciting for them when they come back. Our seniors participated in the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge at Lincoln County. Our kids won, so they will be going on to Manhattan here in the next week to participate in the state level. We also got 2nd place, so we got 1st and 2nd. Is that right? 1st and 2nd. So that's pretty exciting. We had parent-teacher conferences right before the break. Elementary school had 94% attendance, and the high school had 76% percentage attendance, which is kind of an increase, but we did student-led conferences again. We kind of changed the setup of that, but 76%, believe it or not, is pretty good for the high school. So still changing and editing to make that the best it can be for the kids. Last Thursday, is that right? We had the AR party for the month of March, and the emergency management came out, and the kids got to crawl through the trooper's car and the cop car and the ambulance and the fire truck, and they had fire and they shot out. So thank you to the emergency management for showing up, and the kids loved that. They got to talk in the loudspeaker and blow whistles, and then they had popsicles. So very, very cool. And the last thing I have is spring numbers for participation. We have baseball has 8 boys going over to Lucas. Forensics has 10. We've had several kids qualify for state in forensics already, so that's exciting. Junior high scholars bowl had 13, and that's only 7th and 8th graders that can participate in that. And high school track has 37 kids, and junior high track has 43 kids for a total of 80 kids out for track. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Any other questions for Nikki? Not for the technologically savvy.
I'll show you these slides on my phone. I want to, except about I want to celebrate, I'm going to pull this up. I want to celebrate our teaching staff in our core content classes. I want to celebrate all of our staff, but I really want to celebrate this. These are 3 years of our ACT scores here. So the blue was 2021, the red 21-22, the green 22-23. And I think if you'll notice, these in every area, blue, red to green, blue, red to green, blue, red to green. Last year was an interesting year in English. And then blue, red to green. These are just our scores for our students. And I think that that kind of growth shows the focus that we've had in the last 3 years to support our staff, to provide them with the resources they need to do an outstanding job. And I've got some other slides. This is how we compare to the state. We're in red. Well, that was 2021, 21, 22, we're in red, 22, 23. So let me do this in motion, because it's pretty cool. Just watch the red line. Look at the growth. We're exceeding the state ACT score in science, reading, math, and our overall composite. That's a celebration of academic success and growth. And I am just tickled pink when Brenda shared these with me, and I made these graphs, and I gave you one of these because I didn't print out mine, a packet. And this just shows Lincoln Junior Senior High School. This doesn't compare it to the state. But, you know, if you show growth and you're 10 points below the state in every category, I mean, that's good news. But we have built ourselves up to where we're exceeding the state average in several areas. And I wanted you to be aware of how hard our staff works to make these goals a reality. So I tickled to death, tickled to death. I also want to share with you our tech center and how that program is going. Next year, our enrollment is 13 kids in auto, 9 in the first year, 4 in the second year, 12 students in welding, 5 in the first year, 7 in the second year program. We have now expanded and will be including districts of Sylvan, Minneapolis, and Bennington that are going to be bringing students to us. So, you know, I was pretty confident that was a good move and the right thing to do for kids. And now we're seeing this growth, which provides us with another challenge, since we're just throwing hundreds of dollars around in discussions, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in discussions. Our next phase of that project has got to be to get some classroom space. Right now, they're meeting in the living room and the bedroom of the downstairs apartment. They're not going to fit. Now, we can't do anything this year, but this has to be, in my opinion, a priority to figure out how to get classroom space over there. On your tabletop, there's a document from Vesta Modular Buildings. And this will blow your mind, but, you know, it's only money. A 2-classroom, 2-bathroom, ADA compliant modular building is going to be $265,000. That does not include site work, foundation work, electrical, sewer, water, and a fire alarm system. So, as this board considers financial commitments, that's another one that kind of goes what I would call a red colored item in our needs. I've looked forever for used modular buildings. They used to be for sale all the time. I can't find them. Purple Wave used to have them all the time. For $8 grand, $10 grand.
Kindergarten building was, those are pretty.
Yep, from Fort Riley.
Yeah, those kind of things aren't available right now?
We don't have the presence that we had overseas, and those aren't around anymore. Some people were buying them with ESSER money, and so there were a lot of older ones on the market, and we didn't have this in operation at that point. So I looked at them for storage and saw them, but didn't have any idea we would need something like this.
And Scott, can I add to that? The CNA, I should have put that on the report. We had kids that passed the CNA, and that program can hold 10. I think we had 8. We had full capacity, and 2 had to quit the program. But we had 8 that passed their test. The last 2 passed today. And so I'm not sure, they did online, but they're supposed to be hiring, we've been talking to Salina Tech, I think they're going to have an instructor, because that is a lot more successful for our kids. I don't know that we have space in our high school for them. We're running out of classrooms up there. So that would be another thing that could be at the tech center that's going to be pretty critical, because I think that
It would
program
be
will
nice to
continue
have
to grow.
If we could have a 4-classroom modular, that'd be awesome, but you're in double the price. Just about, what did that one company tell us? It was $400,000. So it's not quite double, because it's still just 2 restrooms, but it's a significant problem, and I don't know if we could pour a slab and stick build because we have time and skill.
And then they're-
Or an insulated barn dominium of classrooms. But, you know, what's a building gonna cost us with 8-foot walls, 50 grand? 50 by
Yeah.
70, and then we still have to finish it out.
Bring in dirt and try and.
We gotta give it above the
Yeah.
floodplain on that
Yeah.
south end of the building, it's pretty low. The tech building's been built up pretty high, compared to the stream behind it, but it's just a need that I want you to be aware of. The exciting thing is, we have the need.
Yes.
We're talking about classroom capacity in those two programs of 12 kids in the year one, 12 kids in year two, and next year we have 9. There's only 3 slots in auto tech in the first year course next year. Again, like ACT, I could not be more happy with the success of how things are going, because we knew it was the right thing to do for kids. So, okay, sorry.
Are our teachers that we have over there good, doing well, enjoying what?
I think they really enjoy their jobs. You know, one gets to do a lot of fun stuff. Auto tech is always something different. Welding, it's truly developing a skill set. So there's not a lot of creativity, there's not a lot of free time. You've got to have welds that are going to pass x-ray tests and pipeline quality and upside down and right side up and everything else. Those kids are really in that welding booth working with the same skill set to get better and to get better and to get better for employment. There's just not as much variation as when you're going from brakes to transmissions to, you know,
Compression tests.
yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I am happy about how it's going.
Can we apply for grants or something to help with
Well,
classroom
you know,
duties?
Dane G. Hansen was a huge supporter. I don't know where they would be if they're getting overwhelmed, like we were told, you know. I mean, it's worth a try. The trouble is, it would be matching funds again, and, you know, there's a lot of needs. So we're trying to get creative on that. I'd like to give you a legislative update, because things are, once again, at that time of year, and like Mr. Coleman said, the largest item of the budget for the state of Kansas, they didn't even pass before they went into their off-season, or whatever they call it. Some things that I find very concerning right now. The governor is trying to get phased in over time, the state's obligation of 92% of sped funding, which is a statute passed by them, which they refuse to do. They're at 72% right now. And to give you an idea of how that financially impacts us, they pay their 72%, and that's our pass-through money. That's about $430,000 for our district that comes into our bank account and immediately goes out of our bank account. Out of our general fund budget, we pay another $330,000 to make up that 72 to 92% deficit. That's $330,000 we can't use for our district, because the very people that pass the law don't follow the law. So what they're going to try to do this year, rather than fund special education with the $72 million increase and then an increase over time, it's come out of committee that they're going to try to use federal ESSER COVID money for that, which will not pass muster, because it has to be something that was impacted by that. This is simply a refusal to comply with the law that they passed. And if anybody tells you that it's not the state's obligation to pay 92% of special education costs, I have the statute number for you. I've got it printed out, and I'd be more than happy to share it with you. And if you are a government activist, you can certainly share that information with people in Topeka and tell them to stop playing games with our kids. Because guess why we can't do some of the things in this district? Because I'm having to cover their $330,000 commitment out of our general fund. That is a massive amount of money for us. Another thing that concerns me, the joint committee of House and Senate representatives when they're talking about school funding. They're making a recommendation that both House and Senate refuse to follow the Gannon lawsuit and have no increase to base aid this year. It was supposed to go from 4846 to 5103. For our district, that's $157,000 in base state aid. And they're making the recommendation that they do not increase it based on the consumer price index, which the Gannon lawsuit already settled, which they're required to do, and I don't know why they play these games. Positive, the state, KSDE, or the state is paying for letters training, which is the science of reading for pre-K 3 through 3rd grade. And I have, the elementary teachers have already signed up a 2-year commitment to go through this science of reading training called letters training. It's things like this that makes things like that I showed you happen. And this, we are planting seeds of oak, we're planting acorns right now to grow oak trees. And I think the community in this area will be fascinated to see, with an all-day 3-year-old and all-day 4-year-old, science of reading training, etc., etc. When this tree grows, it should be phenomenal. And that would be exciting to see. Another thing that's interesting, House Bill 2238, Fairness in Women's Sports. This requires that all athletes and students identify by their gender at birth. Governor Kelly is not a favor of that and vetoed it, and it was overridden by both the House and the Senate. So it is now law that students will identify by their birth gender. House Bill 2304 is for firearm safety training in schools under Eddie Eagle program, they call it, with Kansas Department of Recs. That's not required. So that could create some interesting scenarios. Another thing that's problematic for us financially is the high density at-risk weighting that we get. We currently get 17.1 FTEs for high density at-risk weighting. That is scheduled to sunset July 1 of 2024 if they do not renew it. That will cost us another $83,351 out of our budget. So between this potential no increase to base state aid at $157,000 and $83,000, we're looking at a potential of $224, I believe was the number, a $224,000 potential increase to our funding. That keeps me up at night. That's significant. I talked to USA Kansas today with the director of that, G.A. Bowie, and asked him, are they just rattling their swords with this whole no funding thing? He said he just doesn't know. It's just crazy times. I know here we don't feel this so much, but there is a concerted effort with the vouchers that are before the state to pass this. Homeschoolers can get their base state aid with no accountability, and get this, an assumption by the legislature that they will meet the attendance requirements. No report, no requirement, just an assumption that they'll meet that report and take that base state aid for out of the public general fund for other than public education. You know, I'm not a fan of Topeka and how it affects our schools. If there is just an ongoing battle over public education. I don't think we're the cause of it. I wish I could go to Topeka and have a sign. I'm a 1A school superintendent. Talk to me about funding, because we manage our money well, and we get creative, and we make things happen that are great for kids. Unfortunately, they paint public education with the same broad brush, and we're just another villain in the system, and they don't care. But these things moving forward, everything we've discussed tonight, this thing, the track, the modular, we have worked diligently to be stable. We cannot be stupid, and we cannot go backwards, because it won't take long with 2 or 3 different factors snowballing before we're in trouble again. We are not so stable that we have access to be silly. We have to be diligent, we have to persevere, and we have to constantly be on guard for potential pitfalls that might come out of school funding. We don't anticipate any drop in enrollment next year. We think there might be a slight uptick, which there was an uptick this year, which despite social media that said we have this mass exodus, we have gained students the last 2 years. And that's the trend that we need to continue, but we have to maintain our diligence of fiscal responsibility so that we don't get in a pickle again. That being said, I have good news. We had our audit, and we got our audit report, and I will be submitting to republish the budget. Everything was kind of a guess last year, and you understand when we do the budget, we don't know how many free students we're going to have. We don't know how many transportation miles we're going to have. We don't know, last year they didn't have high density at risk. We got $0. I'm going to be able to republish our budget, we are, and we're going to be able to get an additional $74,143 in state aid. Yeah, can I hear it? So that's exciting. This is the ebb and flow of emotion in school finance. It's like, oh my God, and then you go, oh my God, and then you go, oh my God. You know, you're just all over the board. Some of my summer projects that anybody can be a part of, and I'd be tickled to death to have it. We are putting new mechanical systems in the walk-in freezer and cooler at the high school. They go down frequently. And if you go by there now, you'll hear the freezer compressor, and it sounds like somebody's got a small jackhammer in there. It's going to blow any day. Though we're trying to get those both replaced. We are going to move the freezer from the elementary school in the basement out to the high school on the loading dock. Our freezer space is pretty maxed out, having one production center. And then if something does go down, the last time it went down, we had a pickup race hauling frozen food over to the grade school, up and down the stairs. Too old for that. Let's get the other freezer over there. It's not used for anything at the grade school. Need help with that. We have to build a pre-K playground on the east side of the kindergarten building. I have all of the galvanized poles and chain link fence for a 50 by 70 playground. I've got the concrete bags, I got everything. I need bodies to drill holes, put pipes in a straight line, stretch fence, install gates, because that's going to become the preschool, and it has to have its playground on that side. Other thing we're doing is building a deck for the upstairs apartment of the tech building. We've got the pipes for it, I've got to get the lumber for it, and so those are some of the projects that we have going on. If anybody wants to donate their skill sets, it would be very much appreciated. And then finally, I got an email on March 7th that says, "Good morning, Superintendent." They don't know who I am. I have exciting news to share with you. Nikki Flynn has been selected as the Area 4 Middle School Principal of the Year for the state of Kansas. She competed for the state level honor of Kansas Principal of the Year. She was not selected for that. However, in November, we will be going, I assume, to Wichita so that she can be honored as the Area 4 Middle School Principal of the Year. You don't see how tirelessly she works for our kids, when I do. And unfortunately, we are usually working Saturdays, Sundays, at least working the phones to get ready, and she's always there. And on this Teacher Appreciation Day off, you should take the day off. So I'll cover for you.
Thanks.
But well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done. That's all I got.
And questions for Scott after all of that? Any questions on any of that? Okay. Much to take in. I think that moves us to executive session for personnel. Five, okay, let's start with five. I have 9:36, we'll call it 9:37, because it's motion.
I so moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Gina, seconded by Jason, that USD Board of Education going to executive session at 9:37 for 5 minutes, with the superintendent for the purpose of discussing personnel matters for non-elected personnel, and that the Board return to open meeting at 9:42 in the Board of Education conference room. The executive session is required to protect the privacy interest of identifiable individuals.